Hey Internet, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program on Wings. My name is Abby and today we'll cover a standard flight path called airfield traffic pattern. You may have noticed that I was using this kind of standard flight path during my training session as I trained how to land successfully and without damaging the aircraft. And today I will introduce you to this real-world flight procedure and explain to you how it is working out and how all the different parts are called during this flight path. So let's start our engines and yeah, ready for departure 09. Crosswind 09. During the crosswind, you will mostly gain your altitude and climb up to your airfield traffic pattern altitude. And here, that's what you are mostly doing during the crosswind. Now we are turning into the downwind 09. This part is mostly for just flying straight ahead, parallel to the runway, and yeah, prepare for the descent and make sure everything is working fine and as intended. At the end of the downwind leg, you want probably start to do first preparations for the descent and for the landing. So reduce a bit the speed and prepare for your landing. Okay, now we are turning into base 09. In this part you want to start to descend a bit. You will make sure that you configure your aircraft for the landing, so you have only to you have only to focus on the real landing and the final approach. So now we are in base 09 and we are just before now. Now we are turning into final 09 where we are doing our final descent to the runway and focus mostly on the landing and hopefully have the successful landing. Okay, now we are on final 09. That means we are aligned with the runway and we are flying towards the threshold where we want to land and here where we want to land. So now we are coming into short final. And in this during this time of approach we are only focusing on descending and making sure we are staying on the runway and we don't exceed our speed or have any other troubles. So let's go around again. This time we make a right traffic pattern. So take off from runway 09, turn into the right crosswind 09. Again we are using the crosswind leg for mostly our climbing. Okay, we have reached our altitude. We are turning into the right downwind 09. It's important to mention that the left airfield traffic pattern has no prefix. It's a standard way to fly around. and the right one has the prefix right. So everything is called has the prefix of right. So we are now in the right downwind 09. And the 09 means the orientation of the runway which is currently in use. So we always have to refer to the active runway to make sure everyone is flying in the current and in the right direction. Okay, at the end of the downwind leg, we start to prepare our landing, and we are turning into the right base 09. We make sure we reduce our speed and make final preparations for our final descent, and make sure everything is prepared for our landing. So let's lower our gear. And finally turn into the final runway 09. Oh, it's a steep turn. Okay, we are now on final 09. Let's make sure we are aligned properly with the runway. Reduce more speed and focus mainly on the landing, so we are able to bring our aircraft down as gently as possible. Now we are perfectly aligned with the runway. We are on short final 09. And now we have just to make sure that we flare up the nose in the right time and reduce more our speed, and here, a gently landing. So that's how we do an airfield traffic pattern. Before we continue our Kerbal Space Program on Wings project, I'd like to show you this little chart I've just made up. It's showing Kerbal Space Center from above, and I have drawn some lines to show you the airfield traffic pattern. We start just after our takeoff with the crosswind 09. The first leg is called crosswind, and the 09 is referring to the runway in use. So we are taking off on the runway 09. The 09 means it's the 90 degrees runway. The opposite runway would be the 27. It's meaning the degrees of 270 degrees. So just after takeoff, we are turning left into the crosswind 09. Afterwards, after we've reached our altitude, we turn again into the downwind 09. After we've flown parallel to the runway, we start our descent with the base 09, and finally, if we are turning at the runway and align with it, we are at the final 09. We can also do the thing in the opposite direction. In this case, everything becomes a prefix right, indicating that you are flying in the opposite direction and making an indication for the other aircraft that are flying around, and so that they are knowing you are flying the right traffic pattern and know where you are. If you are saying, okay, I'm right base 09, then everybody knows, okay, he is at this particular part of the traffic pattern. Okay, that's everything I want to tell you about airfield traffic pattern. Now let's have some fun with other airplanes. For the second part of today's episode, I fall back to an idea which I had in last episode. I want to do a simulation of the approach from the Dreamchaser, which has a failure with its right landing gear, and today I will figure out what will happen if I use this aircraft drone and I try to land only with two landing gears engaged without using the third left one. I guess it was the left one of the Dreamchaser. So let's start our engines and get into the air. The Dreamchaser, I guess it was last week, had its test flight. It was released from a high altitude flying helicopter and started its descent towards the airfield. During the final approach, only 2 of the 3 legs were lowered, so the aircraft made its landing only with 2/3 of its gear extended, which caused naturally some trouble and damaged the aircraft after touchdown at the runway. What was it called? Sierra Nevada Corporation, the developers of the Dreamchaser, have released a video. I will put the link to it in the video description of this episode today. But the video finished just before the aircraft touches the ground, so we are not able to see the real landing and the problems which were caused by only having 2 gears extended instead of 3. To compensate that, I will try it out myself, do this little simulation in Kerbal Space Program. Naturally, Kerbal Space Program will act completely different than real world, so it's just a simulation, it's just an idea, but I guess it will be still interesting to see what will happen if we land only with 2 instead of 3 gears extended. For the next episodes, I'm planning to do some flights to the poles of Kerbal, so 1 flight to the North Pole, 1 flight to the South Pole, and after I've managed these 2 flights, I am planning a flight around Kerbal, so we will do a round trip around Kerbal and finally come back to the Kerbal Space Center. To do so, I will use the next episodes to prepare a little bit, find out which aircraft I will use, what settings this aircraft will need to do these flights, how will I do the flights, and when we start off our missions to the poles or around Kerbal, I will often do a split between the episodes, so we have to land often, so each episode won't exceed too much time, and we can have an episode of an estimate length maybe around 15 to 20 minutes and not a whole hour or anything like that. So that's for the near future. We are planning some expeditions to the poles and do a round trip around Kerbal, and we need to prepare our flight by preparing some aircrafts, make some test flights, which will happen during the next episodes. So hopefully you will stay tuned and follow my expedition around Kerbal and discover maybe some interesting spots of Kerbal and have some flight miles for next episodes or so. Okay, now let's extend our gear and find out what will happen if we land only with 2 gears extended. Additionally, I have to mention I get the comment that I said during one of the last episodes, have a nice weekend, and it was around Wednesday or Monday when I released this episode. This happened because I was recording the episodes during weekend, and as I made my ending of the episode, I was saying, have a nice weekend, without thinking about when I will release the episode. So don't be distracted by that, or feel free to have a very short weekend or a very early weekend. Additionally, I want to thank one YouTube user named Money44. He was the first one who commented on one of my videos. He gave me some ideas how I can approach short runway landings, and I will try out his ideas during our test flights in the upcoming episodes here. Maybe next episode, maybe some episodes later, but I will come back to it and try it out. So, yeah, let's try our landing. We are already on the final approach on runway 09er. I will try to reduce my speed as much as possible, so I will land very slowly, so hopefully I won't damage the aircraft too much, but I'm not sure how KSP will react to a landing in this configuration like that. So let's descend, flare up the nose. Still a little bit fast. Yeah. That's mostly what I have expected. It won't work out very fine, but we've tried to figure out what will happen if we do such a landing. So, I hope you have enjoyed my video. I hope you have learned a little bit about some traffic patterns and how they are done in real-world aviation. And you've also learned what will... Oh, what's happening there? Okay, well, poof. So, yeah. Hopefully you've learned something, you've enjoyed my video, and if you do so, I would appreciate if you like my video or become a follower of my channel. Until next time, my name is Debbie. See you.